Apple's biggest iPhone update of the year has now dropped. This is iOS 27, it is official, and Apple says it is packed with new features that you are going to love. Let me break down all the new features of iOS 27. Here's what Apple changed, here's what made the cut, here's what didn't, and also let me tell you, of course, how you can get iOS 27 on your phone totally for free today, like right now. But first, let me sort of give you the highlight reel of what is new with iOS 27, which right off the bat, you can really tell that there is no major redesign. Think of this like iOS 26.5. It is a refinement year. It's an S year, to use that old iPhone phrase. Basically, it's not a year that Apple goes crazy and changes everything, but it's a year of refining and fixing and improving and just making the experience better. So they have kind of refined liquid glass a bit and made it a bit better. Hopefully you agree, or maybe you don't, with iOS 27. And there are, of course, new features, but if you're like looking for something shockingly different, this is not it. It is mostly the same with a couple of notable exceptions. And I think that kind of really gets us to what is kind of the heart of this update, which is, I guess, kind of a two-part thing. One of them is Siri. Siri got a major overhaul with this year's software update. Apple says they promise it's way better. They want you to use it. And one of the ways in which they're trying to make Siri actually seem different is change the way you interact with it. So it is no longer like this bodiless, emotionless, glowing orb that lives around the edges of your screen, but now Siri is kind of personified and lives in two main places. In its own dedicated app that you can use to talk with it, you can ask questions, kind of use it like you would any AI chatbot, and also there are some nice new sleek animations for Siri in the dynamic island. So if you have one of the newer iPhones, you're going to see Siri kind of move and interact and just be a little bit more unique and a little bit hopefully more helpful as it moves around your phone in this update. Now, the app is interesting because I think right off the bat, it does make Siri more useful. That was always one of the weird issues with Siri, not just because it was really dumb, but because there was no record of what you did, or you couldn't go back and necessarily easily see what you had said or seen previous conversations. Now with this app, you can actually have like an ongoing dialogue with Siri and have more of a personal context, which should make it easier to understand what Siri's doing. And also, Siri, Apple promises, is now more capable of actually doing things more intelligently and not being just, as it's been known for years now, like really, really dumb. And that kind of leads me to the second main thing of this iOS update, which of course is Apple Intelligence. Now, stop me if you've heard this before or seen any really cool sleek demos, but Apple does promise that Apple Intelligence is ready for prime time, it's going to live up to the hype and the promises, and that it is made now to fundamentally transform how you use your phone. And of course, in iOS 27, Apple Intelligence is now a huge part of this update, and Apple says you can now do way more than ever. And this was really built at its core to interact with Apple Intelligence and all these new features. They kind of go hand in hand. And again, Apple is promising this thing is ready this time. And again, really everything else has to do with the kind of core of refinements and making things faster and making it more responsive, stuff like that. Like Apple touted that AirDrop is now faster and that loading apps should be faster, and even older iPhones like iPhone 11 or newer should now be faster thanks to this built-in CPU scheduler that is more optimized for older phones. And again, it was stuff like better search and indexing and things like that. Basically, Apple's just trying to fix all corners of the OS that had issues and preload as much as they can so your phone just feels as fast as possible. All right, so that is what is new with iOS 27 and all the major features, but there are still a couple of things you should know. Number one, really take all this stuff with a major grain of salt, because Apple has made a lot of last-minute changes or failed to bring in new features over and over and over again. Kind of sad, because WWDC used to be this great example of these live demos, and it was cool to see the new software, and then you could get it in the fall with your phone, and you had all these new features. It was great. Now, as kind of the new naming scheme suggests, Apple is doing like this year-long thing where they'll show off features, then kind of release them piece by piece by piece, and sometimes that doesn't even work out. So just know that what we see isn't going to be available on day one. And then also something big we learned last year was that liquid glass, for example, was shown off in one form and then shipped in the fall in kind of another form. And sometimes this is thanks to Apple fixing things and refining things and making them better. But also we got to remember that this is all hype and it's all marketing, and it doesn't always deliver in the exact same way it's shown off. Some of this stuff is subject to change, though if you do want to jump in and try this out right now, and you have a supported iPhone, which you've got to check and make sure your device is supported, but assuming it is, there is an easy way you can get it right now totally for free, and that is through the Apple Developer Portal, or the developer website. Basically, I think if you go to developer.apple.com or you just Google it, you can go on there now. Some of you might be super fast and might actually get there before it's live, so if it's not live yet, just give it a minute and it will go, and then basically Apple will walk you through it. It's really easy, kind of a couple of step process to load this special profile on your phone, a developer profile, and then you can install the beta. Though, a couple of caveats you should know of is this is developer beta 1, so it's made for developers, and it's the very first iteration, so it is oftentimes very well known to be slow and buggy. It can wreck your battery, it can ruin your cell service, it can cause your camera to be buggy. Just keep in mind this is going to be a very bumpy road for a little while, so it's not going to be smooth sailing, and updates can be good one day, then bad the other, so keep that in mind. Though if you do want to try it, but you don't want that risk, there is of course the public beta, usually launches about a month from now, and that will give you a much more stable release of iOS 27, minus some of the latest features, but it has most of the stuff in there, and is a bit more stable and intended to actually use if you don't want to develop and go through all the debugging and problems and stuff like that. So you've got two options. Public beta usually launches a bit later. If you want it today, ASAP, that's the developer beta, and you can go on Apple's developer site to get that. And with that, I am actually really curious, will you be installing this on your phone? And also, what are your thoughts? Did Apple deliver enough to impress you this year? Is this a good update? Is it a bad one? Do you think that Apple missed the mark? Do you believe the marketing hype? It's going to be an interesting year, folks. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. And of course, I am already digging through all of the material and scouring through Apple's documentation to find any leaks on what could be coming next. But in the meantime, that's what we know. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate you all. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from TAC. I'll see ya in the next one.